Hey guys, can you hear me? No, I'm talking to my live stream. Hey, give me a second, I'll be right back. Thank you guys. I'll see you guys just a bit. I'll be back in a sec. Stay tuned, stay tuned. Hi guys, welcome to our live stream tonight. Apologies for the delay. Got to juggle this little one here. That's the reality of working from home now. Kids will always be there. Have to find a way to work around our duty as parents to take care of our kids. So without delay, I'm going to start reading the comments. Darren, hi Mr. Con. Dilbert, hi. Darren, I explained. Michael asks, why are cars getting bigger? Well, because the thing is that they have to get safer. It's because of the ongoing, all these like Euro NCAP 5 stars need people to car makers need to engineer cars with more and more safety, and all these safety features add weight to the car, and as a result they get bigger and heavier because of that. All right, so anybody else here? Ron asked me, before you start with serious car stuff, Romulan and Ferengi Tadaka. No, actually, I've only got the that is the if you're a Star Trek fan, that is the Enterprise D from the Next Generation Star Trek Next Generation finale episode All Good Things. That's the Klingon bird of prey, and you may see up there that is the original Starship Enterprise, the cutaway version of it, and the other one is the USS Enterprise E from the Next Generation movies. All right, Andrew Tan asks, BMW versus Mercedes reliability. Well, to be frank, I'm a bit more familiar with BMWs, but if you go back to say the 80s, right, the days of the W123, the W124, no contest. The Mercedes is definitely much better than BMW in terms of their reliability as well as the longevity of their cars. I think today, in the present day, uh, they are more or less on par with each other. So it's really down to a question of preference. Of course, with BMW, previously you had the whole free service package. Now it is basically an advanced paid for service. Which the thing is that, right, you still bundle the cost of servicing into the overall price of your car, into your car loan. So whereas with Mercedes, right, every time you visit the dealership for service, pop 1K, 2K, 3K. So, but in terms of reliability, I I don't think they are much different from each other. Yeah. Frenzy Austin, CKD Porsche losing its exclusivity identity. Okay, the story about Porsche doing CKD. This came to my attention actually some months back, but the person who shared it with me swore me to secrecy, tell me, hey, don't tell this, otherwise I'll get fired, kind of thing. So I just heard and then I brought that out. But basically, but the conversation is a bit blur. It's a bit of a blur right now in my mind. But I think if you talk about CKD Porsche, I wouldn't expect a 911 or even a Boxster. You're probably looking at the Macan. All right, Macan is the most likely candidate. Perhaps the Cayenne, maybe the Panamera. That's it. So if you're talking about the likes of the 911, the Boxster, these cars will still maintain a certain exclusive standing in the brand's hierarchy. But whereas all this while, the likes of the Macan and the Cayenne, the SUV models, they have always taken a slightly premium mass kind of positioning. So these are the cars that would ultimately that will ultimately deliver the big volumes to Porsche and justify its local assembly. The man says, "Hey, help us say hi to your little girl." Yep, she just left the room to join her mom. Yeah. Okay. So while waiting for other comments, I'm just going to read through some of the other comments that I've seen in in my comment section. So in my previous video on warranty, James Lembu said, "Why not? Peace of mind." But many of my kaki says otherwise. Wish it could be a 9-year warranty better. You see, the thing is that right with the warranty package, the choice of paying for the warranty, if you ask me, it's a more transparent way of doing things. Okay, and it puts the choice in the hand of the consumer. So if you want that peace of mind, the next 3 years, 5 years, 7 years, and like what you say, if you want 9 years, right? The car makers, they can price in, all right, based on risk analysis. It's almost like doing insurance. One, what's the risk factor of a 3-year-old warranty package, 5-year-old warranty package, 7 and 9 years, and then they will mark up the price of the cars accordingly. Yeah, and you get that peace of mind. The only thing is, the car makers have the responsibility of honoring the warranty package that they sell to you without question. I mean, as in, like, if they see, they do their due diligence, they check that this part is indeed failed, they have to honor the warranty. That's it. Don Donkey, just want to say that I don't like those made for Southeast Asia tin kosong Japanese cars. I only bought those models usually sold in Japan or EU or North America. And Toto added into the comment by saying, "Can agree, the Europe Yaris is so much nicer." Okay, so this is a very interesting topic. So yes, many a time there are spec differences across regions. You see, the thing about Southeast Asian region versus European region, at the end of the day, these two regions have a big disparity in terms of their spending, in terms of their average spending power. So and also it's a question of regulation. It's a combination of all these. So you see, the thing is that car makers will offer you higher spec for two reasons. One, it's because regulation dictates it. Two, because market forces demand it. So simply put, if your so-called tin kosong models sold here, nobody buy, all right, people don't buy, then the car maker will go back to the drawing board, and the next car that they bring in to replace that car will then be of a higher standard to be more competitive. And consumers ultimately vote with their wallets. One. So the thing is, most of the time, in order to spec cars according to what they sell overseas, it incurs a certain level of cost, and that's why car makers usually they try to sell the spec of car which they feel the market will buy at that price. But don't underestimate the standards in Malaysia, because some people in the car in the car makers actually tell me that Malaysia has some of the toughest homologation, some of the hardest to comply homologation standards around. So in terms of safety, especially in recent years, we do get pretty well-spec cars in recent years. Yeah. So in recent years our cars have been pretty well spec, like you see. I think some years back I was told that midway through its model cycle, the Hyundai i10 had actually had a mid model update whereby they strengthened the body and improved the safety during the model cycle. Yeah. Frenzy Austin, Innoco versus DRB Highcom product quality. I don't think they're significantly different, but I don't have any basis for comparison. But I have not seen, I can't see any difference between these two. Rashido Karim, sorry, but the idea of a CKD Porsche isn't for me lah. Anything that isn't made in Stuttgart should be fending off potential buyers, considering the fact they don't mind paying extra taxes. Well, I'm sure you still have the option of buying a CBU if you insist. But the idea of CKD is that they ultimately want to, you see, there are two reasons why they want to CKD. One, CKD is an indirect way of bringing tax down. You see, the thing about CKD is this, actually, to CKD a car in Malaysia, if not because of the tax difference, the CKD cars are more expensive than the CBU cars, because if you look at it in a tax-free environment, right, where both cars don't need, CKD and CBU don't pay tax, right, the CBU cars will be cheaper even if you factor in shipping, because your CBU car is made in a factory in Japan, in Thailand, in Germany, where they have much higher economies of scale, and the cost per unit in those plants are much lower. But it's because when they come here, when government slap all the import duties and whatnot, and all the incentives and all that, it ends up becomes CBU cars are more expensive than CKD cars. But as a result of that, then there is one reason why car makers look into CKD in order to attract more customers. But there's another reason also, because if you know, official imports, okay, you see, all cars that are imported in Malaysia need an AP. There's of course the official AP, and there's the parallel AP, and that the number of APs are limited to 10% of the total number of cars that were produced locally last year. So if last year Malaysia made 500,000 cars, this year there will only be 50,000 APs, and 50,000 APs, 45% are allocated to all the official importers, the Mercedes-Benz Malaysia, the BMW Malaysia, BMW, Toyota Motor, Lexus Malaysia, all these guys. So you see, if they don't CKD, the number of cars that they can sell in 1 year is really limited to the number of APs that they have that year. That's it. So the idea of setting up CKD really, in a way, is also for them so that they can sell more cars. They have the ability to bring in more cars into our market, right? And coming back to Porsche, I strongly believe that the car that they will be CKD they will start off with the Macan, maybe the Cayenne. But if you're not talking about your 911s, your Boxsters, your Caymans, chances are they will still be fully imported. All right. Lee Kangwei say, "Kong Hei Fa Choi." Same to you. Frenzy Austin. Southeast Asia are too poor to afford JDM models, and Southeast Asia want ricer looking model. See, the thing about Southeast Asia is that it is a very disparate market. You see, unlike Europe is a very homogeneous market. You go your market conditions from Netherlands to Germany to Belgium to France to Italy is quite homogeneous. One is like maybe not that far apart. But in Southeast Asia, Malaysia versus Thailand versus Indonesia, Singapore, Brunei, Vietnam, Laos, each of these are very, very unique markets with very different demographics and very different spending power and tastes. So as a result, um, it is very difficult for car makers to come up with one car model or one specification that satisfies the entire ASEAN market's demand. So they have to mix and match things around a bit for Southeast Asia. The taste of Singaporean consumers and the taste of Thai consumers, totally, totally different. Andrew Tan asks, how's your E39 so far? What have you changed and repaired? Oh, a lot. But what I can tell you, basically the car is now running very, very fresh now. I've did the roof lining, I've repainted the car, changed the wheels, upgraded the front brakes to 530i discs. I've changed the DISA valve. I've changed the I recently changed a couple of hoses from the ABS pump, fluid hoses. I've changed the brake master pump, the brake servo pump. I've changed the oil separator. A lot of things lah, a lot of things. All right, but the good thing is the buy plus fixed cost of that car I totaled up until today. It still can't buy me a top spec Myvi. Yeah. Okay, Frenzy Austin. Highcom have Honda and VW to pull their namesake down. Inocom still doing well with Mazda and Beamer. I think VW has improved tremendously over the last 2 or 3 years. Honda has I've heard some complaints in terms of their quality, but the thing is that Honda cars are not made in a DRB Highcom plant. Honda cars are manufactured in their own plant in Malacca. So the DRB Highcom plant in Pekan makes VW, used to make Suzuki, makes Mercedes, Isuzu, and yeah, VW. I think, what was it that came in to replace Suzuki? Mitsubishi went in there for the, was it Mitsubishi? Yeah, Mitsubishi assembles the, what they call that, the expander there. You know, that plant used to, once upon a time, it started off making the Satria for Proton, and since then it has expanded to become a multi-brand factory. Toto says, when I was in Japan, I find it funny, hardly anyone buys Honda sedans. Meanwhile, Toyota or even Nissans are everywhere. Honda really did a good job here in Malaysia. You know, the thing about Japan is that the buying taste really vary according to region and city. So some places they prefer Toyota, some places prefer Nissan, some places Mazda is strong, some places Honda is strong. So it really, in Japan, it really depends where you go. Really depends where you go. The man says Bunsiu and Honda Malaysia has managed to market Honda as a more upmarket or aspirational product. That's why they sell so much. I think this was true, especially I think when Honda Malaysia just came in, you know, and then they had products like the Civic FD at the time. The City also was, I think the City GM2, the City GM2 that was launched in 2008, that one also had a very, very good, built a good rep for the brand. Yeah, and you see, the thing is that I remember back in 2008, 2010, that time during that generation of City, right? Honda sold the City at 85,000 ringgit above, whereas the Vios, it topped off at also about 90-something thousand ringgit, but Toyota went all the way down to the 70,000 ringgit price bracket. So to an onlooker, it looked to me like Honda was very conscious in deliberately avoiding to compete against Toyota in the lower brackets, and that somehow subconsciously gives Honda a bit of a more, I would say, upmarket positioning for their cars, more upmarket mass positioning of their cars, and also the other thing is that I think if you go even further back to the 2000, before Honda Malaysia coming, I think that time Honda also, yeah, during the days of car motor, I remember like, Honda was like marketed as something like, the next best thing to Mercedes, right? If you're those days, if you people see you drive a Honda car, you have made it. They perceive that you have made it. Frenzy Austin, X50 sales are not as good as expected, especially compared to the city. Thoughts? Um, Firstly, what I understand is X50 is having problems with their supply, So their the MCO and all that has caused a lot of havoc in the what you call it, in the supply chain of the automotive industry. So that has impacted production. And I think Honda probably planned their rollout of the city better than Proton did. And it's also possible that, you see, X50, I think, still relies heavily on on components imported from China, whereas Honda has a very long track record of localization in Malaysia. So they have a lot of localized components. They do their homework very, very well in preparing their car for launch. Of course, they are still being hampered by mysterious delays to the City RS Hybrid, which was the one that they promoted, right? But I think to me, I think the X50 is hampered by production delays, whereas with the City, Honda has cars ready to move out whenever an order comes in. Yeah. So Rashido says, haven't thought of these facts so elaborately before, and 911 Boxster Cayman will remain German made, hopefully, as you say. You see, the thing is that, right, when it comes to local assembly, car, make, car makers need to hit a certain volume. And there's no running away from the fact that with Porsche, the volume sellers are the Macan and the Cayenne. So it makes absolute sense that these two cars will be the ones that are prime candidates for local assembly. The Taycan will be extremely unlikely of the because of the need to significantly upgrade the intercom plant to handle the high voltage battery of their car. Yeah. Frenzy Austin says, I agree, Japan buy their car based on region. You'll see Subaru everywhere in Fuji and Mazda everywhere in Hiroshima. Andrew Tan, opinion on Apple Car and Hyundai Kia partnership. Personally, I don't use Apple CarPlay or Android Auto anymore. So to me, as long as a car's infotainment has Bluetooth connectivity, preferably has voice command, it's good enough for me. You see, the thing is that recently, now in my S Max, I've come to appreciate this feature whereby sometimes during the daytime when I have to go and run my errands, right, and I realized, then I remember, I got a lot of things to do. So along the way, as I drive, I can just press the voice command and say, call Bobby. Then I call Bobby, have a chat with him over the Bluetooth, done. Then after that, call HP, done. So as I am running errands around during the daytime, I'm also able to use that traveling time to confer with my colleagues for anything that needs to be discussed, as I'm on my way. Don Donkias, do you think the Hyundai Palisade, which launched in Indonesia just a while ago, will ever make its way to Malaysia? The Palisade, what? Actually, let me just read up on that car because I have a passing familiarity with the car. But the thing is that, right, how much will it sell and how far it is away from the Santa Fe? Okay, so I would say never, but if you're looking at the engines, 3.5 V6 and 3.8 V6 and the 2.2 diesel, Well, uh, I well never say never lah. Honestly, never say never, but you never know. Okay, guys. So I need to excuse myself very quickly. I'll be back after this short break. Okay. Uh,
Really too much for me.
What'll I do? What'll I do? What'll I do?
Elephant on parade.
okay, I'm back, guys. Thank you for waiting. Uh, well, wait. So just now, daughter just finished bathing, so I had to go and clean her up and all that. She just wanted me. And before I go ahead and answer any further questions, any parents out there amongst us, how are you guys dealing with work from home and your kids? Because you know, I think this is a very unusual time, all right, whereby us working parents, we have an opportunity to spend more time with our kids. But at the same time, they inevitably take us away from from our work. Now, of course, if you were to fast forward 10 years, 20 years down the road, and we look back to these days, we will be more appreciative uh, of the precious time we have with our kids, right? You know, the closeness, the bond that we get to form. But how do you deal? How are you guys doing in terms of balancing your family obligations and your work obligations? Guys, anyone? Any answers? Anybody care to share your experiences before I continue with responding to questions? No? I give another 10 seconds. No more. Don't have. All of you guys watching are single people or no kids one. Okay. All right. Never mind. No worries. We'll carry on with questions. With reading up questions. If anybody who would like to share your experience working from home as a parent, feel free to type your stories in the comment section. Okay, I'll read out. Really, no kids? Okay. Cheng Yi Xiong, how do you see Chinese local brands performance in mainland China? Examples, Li Cars and Xiaoping. Any potential for these Chinese local brands to perform in Malaysia and Southeast Asian markets? Now, you see, the problem is that I don't follow the China market that closely, mostly because I can't read Chinese. But Bobby's a very, very knowledgeable source with regards to the Chinese market. And based on what he has shared with me, some of the things that he translated for me, right? It's like, guys, honestly, if the Chinese brands come to town, they will mop everybody off the floor, because the thing is that there are so many brands, so many car brands right now in China, and they are competing with each other at absolutely cutthroat environment. So you see, the thing is that they have no time to rest on their laurels, because the moment that they find a certain measure of success and they spend too long celebrating it, someone else pops up with a better product to assert them. So they are always on a constant race of improvement against each other. And see, many years ago, if you rewind back 20 years ago, Chinese products were a joke, but they were cheap, and because their market size were big, okay, so two things happened. One, people bought Chinese products like crazy. Second thing is, companies all wanted to invest in China to take advantage of the low labor cost, as well as the volume of the market. Now, what this has meant is that over the years, all that inflow of capital into China has made the Chinese economy extremely cash rich, and the Chinese consumers become increasingly affluent, and consequently are able to afford better and better products along the way. So it's a lot of all these factors in play that, when China, and the Chinese brands are so busy competing with each other, they don't have the time to look out yet. But from what I understand, when they decide to do so, they will reshape the car market as we know it. Yeah. Krakon asked me a very interesting question. What are your top 5 cars you would buy instead of the E39? I think number one number one in that list actually would be the 2003 Subaru Legacy. I have a very strong liking for that car, so that's something that I definitely would want to buy. Is it correct for me to answer Ford S-Max? Because that's something that I bought, so never mind, we don't count S-Max. Another car that I would presumably have bought would be the F10535. Okay, yeah. I mean, if you talk about something else other than an M5 I was very close to buying an E90 323i. Another car that I would consider would be the Mondeo, the Ford Mondeo. And let's see, the fifth one. What would I buy instead of my E39? The fifth one. What else would I buy? I mean, assuming like a similar kind of spending power, right? In terms of buy plus fixed and all, right. So I've named the Legacy, I've named the Ford Mondeo, I've named the F10535, I named the E90 323. So one more will be I suppose I also did consider. I did consider the BMW F30 as well. Yeah, 320D or 320i, 335 if I was a bit better heel. But yeah, yeah, those were the cars that I considered. Any thoughts on Ford Malaysia? The interesting cars aren't brought in and they rely on Ranger only. But I can guess why not brought in lah. CBU too expensive. Um, well, I highly regret the fact that they no longer sell the S Max anymore. But it's a regional thing because Ford in this entire region they just gave up on passenger cars. I think right now in Southeast Asia only only Singapore has a Ford passenger car, and this is not the first time Ford has done this. They have pulled out of this whole region before, when business went, at a slight sign of trouble, pop, the Ford brand just decided, the principal decided to pack up and leave. And one day when they see that the market conditions may be better, then they come in again. So the interesting cars aren't brought in. Well, I think they had some degree of success with the Ranger. The Focus didn't do too well at all. Not enough people bought the Mondeo or the S Max. But the problem with the Mondeo and the S Max is that great products, but when you're selling your cars at 200 plus thousand ringgit, people look at you and say, why am I not buying a C class or a 3 series? Yeah, so I think it's the price of the thing, and plus the fact that Ford is hampered with bad reputation of their after sales. But to be fair, in aurizn, I have the S Max. TJ has the Ford Focus, and both of us are thus far quite okay. There are occasions TJ's experience whereby he had to wait for parts, because the problem with the passenger cars, sometimes they don't stock enough parts. So certain slow moving parts, you need to order them from Europe, and getting them ready takes time. Yeah. So anybody who is into buying, who wants to buy a Ford in Malaysia, you guys need to be ready to do some homework in terms of your parts shopping and be very alert on the things that potentially need changing or repairs or updating over time. Manwai asked me, do you think CBU cars are overrated compared to CKD? I own both CBU and CKD cars. Same. CBU still has issues, and CKD also not as bad as people think. I think there is a difference between CBU and CKD, but that difference is overrated. I mean, you can expect that certain fitment of panels won't be as precise as they are if the car had come from Germany or Japan. But in terms of mechanical reliability of the cars, I think they are the same. So a CKD car, you may have the odd rattle here, you may have a slight misaligned panel, but the difference, I don't feel is significant. All right. Frenzy says single and available, therefore can play cars. Smart. Thing with China cars, they're damn big, can be hard to sell here due to size. Yes, that's true also. That is true also. Thoughts about VinFast? VinFast, they are the Vietnamese brand, right? They use that they are using previous gen BMW technology. I've read about them. I've not met them. I think they have a lot of promise, but uh, they need to step outside of Vietnam before we see what they are really made of. Okay. Arvin says, remember Clarkson and May in Top Gear jokingly predicted that Britain will doom them if China cars come to their market. Hmm. Now, maybe not, but in a couple of years, who knows? Toto asks, I also find it funny how Buick or GM in general sells well in China. I think it goes back to what, who was it who said earlier? Uh, Donkey says, yeah, they are damn big. Well, if the, yeah, see, because Chinese consumers, they like things big, right? That's why in China you have a long wheelbase of everything. You have a long wheelbase BMW 3 Series, long wheelbase C Class, long wheelbase Volkswagen Tiguan that eventually came here as the Volkswagen Allspace. So yeah, Chinese love them big, and I can see how and Buick and GM designs generally have presence. Chinese consumers like to see presence. Yeah. CG Handicraft. Hi Con, why aurizn does not do better editing? Thank you. Uh well, the answer is this. Because in aurizn, we all edit our own videos. Okay. And if we were to focus on editing every bit of video to the highest possible, I mean to insane level of high production quality, all that, it's time consuming. So we made a decision early on whereby we want a rapid output of videos, so that we can serve you with as much content as possible. All right. So if we were to hamper ourselves in the editing phase, that backlogs our output. That's one. Second thing is we want our videos to have that feel of authenticity to it. We want, especially when we do our walkarounds, we want you guys to feel that you are there with us, you are in a conversation with us. So when I do a walk around of a car, of a test car, usually I explain all the things pretty much like how I talk to my friends. And that's why if after MCO, if you can come out and meet in any of our drives and all that, you will see that me, Bobby, and the rest of us, we talk in person like how we talk in our videos. Yeah. So Coco Kev asks, why 323 not 325? Uh well, the E90 the 325 is M Sport suspension. So I have experienced the E90 with M Sport suspension. I find it a bit too firm for my liking. So I think the 323 with its comfort bias suspension, and honestly that 190 horsepower 2.5 liter engine, I test drove one unit actually. I test drove one unit. Was thinking of buying it, and I felt that the power output of the 323 was more than sufficient for my needs. Yeah, and I actually like the E90's design without M Sport body compared to the M Sport version. LC Way, new to buying used car, thinking of 2013 facelifted Z4 E89. How much is the estimate cost to maintain the car for 5 years? Honestly, I can't tell you. It really depends car to car. But if you get like, no, I don't think it will be very, very expensive. All right. It's no different from you buying a 2013 BMW F30 320i. Okay, let's put it that way. I mean, engine is the same. Most of the running gear is the same. Uh, the servicing cost between a Z4 and a 3 Series, 5 Series is no significant difference. One. So I think if you set aside 3 to 5K a year, you should be quite alright. Liao Yingzhuo asks, which is a better car in terms of ride and handling, high speed stability, City or Almera? I assume you're talking about the current gen. I would say that I've not driven the City. The Almera is good, so that's what I can tell you. All right. But then again, Honda all the while, in terms of their ride and handling, they haven't been bad. They haven't been bad. But I think for this model generation between the City and the Almera, I would go for the Almera anytime. It's just such a big leap from the predecessor, and it's a more handsome looking car than the City. And when I drove it, the refinement, that car just felt overall a very, very well built car. CG Handcraft, what's your thought? GLC 250 versus X3. X3 in the Malaysian context, X3, because the X3 firstly comes with a 30i engine. You get 250 horsepower versus 211 for the GLC. So and the X3 I think is more comfortable than the GLC 250 AMG line. So I mean the GLC is not a bad car per se, but I think in terms of attributes, there are more attributes in the X3 that appeals to me versus the GLC. Cheng Yixiang would be great if next gen Polo and Vento make a comeback in the Malaysian market. Yeah, that would be great. But what I understand is Volkswagen now wants to focus on the higher segments. They want to go back to the days, in 2006, 2007, whereby they occupied a market positioning similar to Volvo. There was a time, in 06, 07, where a Passat B6 is the same price as a Volvo X60. So I think they want to sort of go back to that they want to go to a higher market positioning. All right. So but maybe eventually they will look at their line and say, hey, look guys, we've got the B segment empty. There is a huge market potential. They may bring something back in as well. So like Frenzy Austin says, right hand drive VW Virtus is testing in India and should be coming here in no time. Yeah, probably. Manwai says, if you were to buy the 325, you could change the suspension anyway, since a second-hand car will be due for a change, just like you refurbish and later change for the E39. Yeah, correct actually. But I still prefer the non-M Sport styling of the 323, to be frank. JJ Dennis, when are you planning on joining the Cabriolet / Convertible Cup? What entry used model do you think would be good? Wait, let me answer Manwai's question first. Which gave you the most lasting impression in whichever aspect? Not necessarily that the performance was absolutely mind-blowing. Most lasting impression. Most lasting impression, I have to say, the car that comes to mind is the previous gen Mondeo, the Ford Mondeo, the previous gen one. I remember taking the 2.3 NA version to Bukit Tinggi, and I was absolutely blown away by its handling. And the first Mondeo that came to Malaysia did not have ESC. So the handling of that car is I was like, wow, in terms of the expectation versus reality. I think that Mondeo 2.3 really was one car that absolutely blew me away. Yeah. So coming back to JJ Dennis' question, I think I have to credit Bing because she really created her whole drop the top movement thing. It has helped embolden a lot of people who to go for it, to overcome their doubts. For me, I have never had a very strong prejudice against convertibles, but neither have I been greatly drawn to it. So I mean, yeah, when I was much younger, I had this. I did have a certain what you call it, skeptical, right? Because it's like, what you read about all the scuttle shakes lah, the added weight of the convertibles, the roof mechanism and all that. But I think being helped and Bobby through their driving experience, how they enjoy their cars, they have helped remove a lot of the doubts in me about convertibles. But there, I don't have that massive push factor in me to want to reach for one. So it's like, every time when I have a chance to review a convertible, I say, oh, okay, nice, let's drop the roof and, go drive, enjoy the weather, enjoy the sky and all that. But if you ask me to go and buy one, I'm not against the idea, but I don't have that urge to jump on it, to absolutely jump on it. Yeah. I mean, if I were to go, I mean, there are convertibles that appeal to me, or drop the tops that appeal to me. I particularly like the idea of the 911 Targa. For all these open top cars, right, I like those with a bit of a crazy like a bit of a crazy concept, like 911 Targa, the Ferrari 550 Barchetta, it's spelled Barchett. I used to call it Barchetta, which I think sounds cooler, but it's Italian, so it's called Barchetta. 911 Speedster. Boxster Spider is something that appeals to me, so I'm very happy that my colleague Thomas got himself the Boxster Spider. Yeah, but if I were to go for an entry level used model, E93, the BMW E93, go for a 6-cylinder one, 323 or 325. That would be a good starting point. All right, I think. Yeah, I was going to the other one would suggest Lexus IS 250C is another good one, but too few units on the road. It's a willing buyer, willing seller. The price would probably be quite sky high. And of course, I think you can't go wrong with the Mazda MX-5 if you're ever looking for the convertible experience. But yeah, like you say, entry. So these are the ones to look at. Kuan GLC 43 versus XC60 reliability. XC60. The GLC 43 is the 3-liter V6. It's a proven powertrain, but given a higher tune by by AMG. So usually big engine cars don't have reliability issues. Don't have major reliability issues. XC60 is all right too. I think the T5 definitely no problems. The T8 plug-in hybrid, maybe the odd software glitch here and there, but generally I've heard only positive things about that car. So and see, the thing is that with the XC60, assuming you're talking about the PHEV version, right, the entire hybrid drivetrain of the XC60, of the Volvo T8 twin engine, is in-house. It's an in-house drivetrain by Volvo. So the whole thing, engine, gearbox, and electric motor, it's all in-house. It's a holistic system, right? Designed and engineered by Volvo. It's not like how the Germans do it, whereby engine, gearbox, they sumbat the motor in between, and a third party motor in between, and run. So those will have a bit more suspect reliability. But if you're talking about, if you want a PHEV that's reliable, I think Volvo's system is as good as it gets. Sarvin asks, is it worth to buy the Vios GR Sport? I have not reviewed that car, so I don't know. Have to test drive the car to comment. So if the GR Sport suspension is significantly better than the regular Vios, then definitely yes. But if you just want a Vios to potter about, buy a standard spec Vios, will be fine. JJ Dennis, nice. So a BMW E39 M5 is more likely for you. It's 180,000 ringgit cash buy, unfortunately. So got to earn more money. Alex Go asks, Laxman VR asks, what's your take on the D segment cars in Malaysia? It's a shrinking segment. And you can see now the likes of Mazda 6, Honda Accord, Toyota Camry, they are all pushing their cars higher and higher up the price bracket because people shopping in the 150,000 ringgit, they have all moved to SUVs. They have 80-90% of them moved to SUVs. Some of them are a bit more adventurous. They're looking into used 5 Series and E-classes. So the traditional battleground, the 150,000 ringgit battleground where you previously had the 2-liter Accord, 2-liter Camry, 2-liter Tiana, that segment is dead. The D segments is a niche market that is still catering for some conservative mindset buyers, but with a bit more money. So yeah, that's why you have your Camrys at 190,000 ringgit, your Accord at 190,000 ringgit, Mazda 6 crossing 200,000 ringgit. It's there, and they are going head on against the likes of the C class and the 3 Series. Alex Go asks, what's the best M car and why? Wow. How far back you want to go? I can't tell you what's the best M car because I've not driven all of them. My favorite is the E39 M5, but the best M car that I have ever driven is the E92 M3 V8. I drove that car in an M Performance Day event in Sepang, and the natural balance of that car, the smooth revving nature of that V8, it is just such a complete car. Absolutely beautiful car to drive. Very, very balanced around Sepang. If you want me to name a second place, something that's currently on sale, I would say the M2 competition, because that is closest in spirit to what M cars originally were. All right, rear-wheel drive, big engines, small body, yeah, very very dirty kind of handling. Yeah, so I think the best M car that I've ever driven would be the E92 M3. The best M car currently on sale to me that I've driven thus far would be the M2. Danny DeVito, is there like a more in-depth reason not to go for a Nissan Almera, especially the 2.0 variant? Huh? There is no 2.0 Almera, bro. Okay, any other questions? Anybody has anything else? If no other questions, we'll come back after a short break, guys.
Save about 500 bucks.
You save about 1,000 plus.
To work out cheaper for me.
4,000.
215, even more.
Facebook for 200 plus.
400 bucks of savings.
Okay, we are back. Okay, so firstly, Danny DeVito, my bad, any variant of the Almera. There is no reason there's no reason for me to actively tell you off the Almera. It's a good car. I mean, unless you no, I mean, if you must buy new, if you have 80,000, 90,000 ringgit, you must buy new. The Nissan Almera is a good choice. If I must find a reason for you not to buy the Almera, the reason is called the Proton X50. CG Handcraft, what's your thought on sedan versus SUV? SUV definitely is the more practical body style. I'm still a bit old school in the sense that I like the sedan profile. Right? I like the sedan profile. But I think SUVs are what the market wants, and the fact that you have the option of going all the way up to load your cargo. It's something a flexibility that a sedan cannot give you. All right, and previously you can argue that sedans have better handling than SUVs, but in present day, that is only half true, because yes, there is still the reality that sedans have a lower center of gravity versus SUVs, but the way car makers have made SUVs handle progressively better, the gap is next to not there already. And you continue by asking hybrid versus petrol. Well, I uh, I I think that in the future, electrification is inevitable. But I will skip hybrids. Uh, I would stick on with petrol engines, and when the time comes, I would go straight into a full electric vehicle. Because you see, the thing with hybrids, at the end of the day, right, it is two incompatible powertrains made to work with each other. There is always, that complex interface between engine and motor. All right, they that operate on very different cycles, very different characteristics. So the complexity of making these systems work together, to me, is not something that I want to have to manage the maintenance of. So I would stick with petrol engines for as long as I can, and when full electric vehicles become viable, that's the direction I will head, and keep at least one petrol car in the household as a backup for a long distance drive until that becomes obsolete. But by Haki Bukhari, do you think CX-30 will be CKD? I think there were plans, but I'm not sure if they are going forward with it or not. Alex Go, E92 V8 is orgasm as F, but engine is notorious for rod bearing issues. Now, here's the thing. The engine is notorious for rod bearing issues. So it's something that everybody knows. It's not something that is hidden, waiting to explode on you. It's something that you should be prepared for. It's like it. So the thing is that when you know that this thing will happen sooner or later, the smart thing to do as a consumer would be to replace these items preventively, to have it inspected at every service, to check what is the condition of my rod bearings, and see how far, whether is it time for me to replace them or not. See, so when you know that the E92 V8 rod bearing will one day fail, and you never take care of it, that's like the weatherman telling you that it's going to rain today, and you go out not carrying your umbrella, right? So the thing is that, right, notorious issues are perfectly okay, because you know they are coming, you know to prepare for it. It is the things that when you kena and nobody else kena before, that's when you scratch your head, how do I solve this? So you see, like for me, 2 years with my E39, right, I have till today not encountered a single issue with that car that somebody else have not kena before. So what it means is that if I am hardworking enough, I'm rajin enough to go to all those forums, I theoretically will be able to predict every problem that potentially could arise from my car, assuming I also maintain it well enough, right? So notorious problems, don't worry about it, because you know that that thing will eventually happen. You can be prepared to fix it. You can fix it before it spoils. It is the nasty surprises that you should be scared of. The man says, what do you think of the handling between the W205 and W204 now that you've driven the facelifted W205? We have a 204, and even in elegance trim, I find it a brilliant car to drive. Very light on its feet. 204 handles better than the 205. Full stop. Full stop. KP Rim, what's your opinion on Proton after sales service which received backlash from its user? I think I think I think well, you see, Proton is now on a path of transformation, and the last 2 years after the X70 came out, they've got they have got a sudden surge in their sales. So whenever a brand grows its volume tremendously, there will always be the problem of after sales not being able to cope. All right, and from what I understand, with the X50 and the X70, there are issues of part supplies coming in from China. So, the thing is that the only Proton that I have right now is a 14-year-old one that no longer relates to the Proton cars of today. But my believe it or not, all my years of sending my Waja and also subsequently my Persona to Proton service centers, uh, I rare I rarely had issues with waiting for parts. Yeah, yeah. So maybe there's something that's affecting the newer models where the the the, the, the the part supply chain is still being fine tuned. Manwai asks, for the previous rear-wheel drive V38 118, is the M Sport suspension as comfortable or more than the regular 118? Even with the, I would think that the regular suspension is more comfortable. One. Even with the tune, there's only so much the V38 can do. Is it a poor buy for used than F30? Well, you see, the thing with the V38 is that if you buy a 118i or an F30 318i, don't be bothered with the power. Okay, and yes, it is 138 horsepower engine, so not the fastest around the block, but you can also there's also the thing when I drove the 318 F30, right? I know one thing that I appreciated was that the car is very light on its nose, it's very nimble. The front is very reactive to your steering inputs, more so than the four-cylinder cars. So if you want to buy the 118, or you be sure that you are the type that appreciates the agile and sharp handling more than straight line performance. And honestly, the 118 is going to be a future classic. It's, I think, the last BMW with a mechanical handbrake. In today's new car market, is there a bad car? If yes, care to elaborate? I don't think there's a particularly bad car, uh, but it's just that there are some cars that are not best value cars, that that your money is better spent elsewhere. But I don't think you can get a particularly bad car out there in the market. Most cars today, you buy them, you maintain them well, they will run. But don't expect them to last the way old Mercedes W124s or 123s or your Toyota Case and these do. Kuhan V asks, having an error code, A mixture too rich with my BMW. This could be anything. This could be anything. Could be your mass airflow sensor, could be your oxygen sensor. What engine is your car on? Thoughts on a 10-year-old Porsche Cayenne Mark 1 3.6? Good deals around or likely money pits? Well, it's good. It's a good deal. The Cayenne Porsches. Wait, excuse me, guys. Don't stop. Porsches are reliable. They are very reliable. Problem is when things age and things wear, they are not cheap, especially if you buy original Porsche stuff. So when you want to, here's a story that somebody once shared with me back when this Mark 1 Cayenne hit the 150,000 ringgit price range. A lot of people who would otherwise have bought Camrys or Accords, they went into these cars. And when it's time for service or when something went wrong, all the cars end up the sada in the workshop because the owners couldn't afford to fix them. So they are good cars, they are reliable cars, but yes, you do have to be prepared that they will not be cheap to fix when things wear. But you have to be creative. So we know that the Cayenne shares parts with the Volkswagen Touareg, with the Audi Q7. So you need to be smart in being able to be resourceful enough to source compatible parts, compatible Volkswagen parts that will fit and run in your car just as well. So if you are hardworking enough, you're resourceful enough, you can run these cars in a more cost-effective fashion, but make no mistake, you have to do the homework. Dave here says, looking for a second-hand MPV, which one is better, Estima or Serena? And the man says, Dave, be like Bro Con here and buy an S-Max. That's the man. So, but if you're looking between second MPVs, Estima or Serena, the Serena has a more spacious interior. The only thing with the Serena is that because of its tall proportions, I don't know, man. I hope you're not the type that like to go fast on the highways. So, for better handling, you may want to go for the Estima. And if you want to ask me, MPV, why does MPVs need handling? I've said this before. What you really want is that in the event of an emergency, all right, you want good handling on your MPV so that you can take evasive action around obstacles without worrying your MPV will lose control. It's the reason why I bought a Ford S-Max. HM Cole asks, are you going to have haircut for Chinese New Year? I have to ask my sister-in-law if she is willing to cut for me or not, because I'm not going to the barber. In fact, the last 2 weeks I've even stopped visiting my parents' house because I am genuinely concerned that I may bring the virus to them. Okay, for the last 2 weeks or 3 weeks, me and my wife and my 2 daughters, we have been isolating ourselves, all right, from as much as possible. We are limiting our human interaction. Although we do go out, but it's only occasionally to bring my daughters out to see the world, all right, maybe for an evening jog, buy groceries. But we have totally stopped meeting people for yamcha or visiting other people at their houses and all that. So currently in my household, only my sister-in-law goes out because she's still working. All right, but the rest of us, I've decided to limit my human interaction as much as possible, my face-to-face human interaction as much as possible. So even before the ministry announced what Chinese New Year SOPs, I've already decided that my reunion dinner this year will be on Zoom. It will be virtual because I don't want to risk it with my folks. In fact, I told my folks I won't be seeing them. I won't be going into their house earliest also until after they vaccinate. Yeah, it's a decision that pains me because it also means that I'm robbing them of time with their granddaughters. I'm robbing my daughter's time with their grandparents. But we are living in special circumstances, and these circumstances call for special measures. Yeah. So I think we all need to, everybody need to play our part. We need to ensure that if somehow or other we inadvertently contract the virus, and there's every chance we can, we have to try to ensure that the spread stops right here with us and goes no further. So Kuhan says N20 engine, sometimes low speed will jerk, engine turns off, and changing the gear to neutral. Wow. Air mixture to Richard. I would look at the mass airflow sensor. Yeah. Does the N20 have a desal valve? Yeah, I will look at the mass airflow sensor. Alex Go, wonder will Proton finally move to turbocharged engine since the D55L SUV is coming soon? No official info, but I won't be surprised if they do. Hi Con, if SH Go asks, hi Con, if Bobby drive from KL to London, will you join him? If yes, which car will you drive? I definitely am keen to join him. But which car will I drive? I really don't know. I really don't know. I have not thought about that yet. But yeah, definitely. I may bring my E39 for that, or uh, or I may drive, or I may bring a Hilux, because as much as my bro wants to enjoy his life, enjoy his journey in an SUV, somebody needs to be the guardian angel of the convoy, and yeah. So if that task falls to me, maybe I'll just buy a Hilux to do it. Stephen Chan. Accord 2012 or 2013, Mark X or Camry, budget 40k around. Mark X. De Young, risk of buying used cars with big touch screens. Tesla says theirs built to last around 5 to 6 years and presume most other brands do the same. There is that risk, right? And you have to think of it this way. Most modern cars these days are built to be recycled after 10 years. So the durability of those components are around 5 to 10 years. So yeah, there is that risk. Big touch screens. But see, the thing is that, right, why car makers like Tesla go to touchscreen is actually a cost-saving way, because the thing is that they put all their money on that screen so that they don't have to engineer individual buttons for every function. And the thing is that, right, regardless whether how many features you specify in that car, how many functions you take in that car, they only have to fit that one screen there. That's it. They don't have to decide whether to put a button there or a custom panel there. It's just one screen. Done. Does the Prince engine in BMWs have an unfair rep just because of the French connection, or is there some basis to it? Well, I have heard that with the F30, the 316 is the one that most people recommend to avoid because it's a bit less reliable than the others. So there may be some basis. I can't substantiate it, but honestly, the Prince engine in the Minis run fine. All right, Bobby had a Mini Clubman for many years, give him zero issues. So sometimes also it is down to the way people maintain their cars. But in all honesty, with the F30, I would still avoid the 316i altogether, to be fair. Nas, hi, Abang Nas. Kuhan, thanks for the advice. And I need to do some restoration on my rear absorber too. Yep, so there are quite a few places that do it right now. Rival Auto is one. They've just opened a new outlet. I'm not sure where. Plenty of choices. Go Google and find absorber restoration. But I would have to say that nothing beats buying a new one. Nothing beats buying a new one. Becky, hi Con, it's been a while since I commented. Do you see virtual car viewing or showroom in the future, or if this pandemic prolonged further, will it be feasible, and what is your ideas on it? I think it's virtual showrooms. I think to me it's a bit of a gimmick, if you ask me, because what's the difference looking at viewing a car in a virtual showroom versus looking at pictures or versus watching a video walk around? I don't see a difference. But I think the opportunity lies if, say, for example, if this pandemic drags on, right? What if I were running a dealership? What I would offer is I would do something like maybe a live feed, like what I'm doing here, all right, and invite customers to join me on this live feed. ask me questions, and I will carry my phone and walk around the car. So like, let's say right now, Becky, you ask me, right, can you show me the steering wheel? So I'll bring my phone and I'll touch the steering wheel for you. I'll describe the steering wheel for you, how it's like. And some other guy will say, can you show me how what's like in the rear seats? Then I'll bring the phone and I'll show you, this is the rear seats. It's it also becomes a slightly more personalized kind of experience, and it's something that you can do one-on-one using various e-conferencing technologies. Okay. Who I asked, E87 116i manual. Wow. Is it any good? Well, it's a manual and it's a rear-wheel drive. It'd be good, but I think it won't be just won't be very fast. But I think it'll be good. WDTV asks, F10 520i, 7 years old, 68k mileage. Should I change axle, oil, and ATF? Since stated as lifetime, ST said there was a case ZF gearbox kaput after changing oil. Thank you. Okay, here is a very interesting thing. So your car is 7 years out of warranty, but very low mileage. I would recommend that you change it. Okay, but this is something that Mike from Blue Green Motorworks, a BMW specialist, once told me this. You see, with automatic gearbox, right, you either change the oil regularly or you don't change it at all. The reason is this. You see, let's say like you drive your car, all right, 130, 140, 150,000 kilometers, never change oil. So in that period of time, the degradation of the oil would have built up sediments, various sediments, and all these, right, is circulating inside a gearbox. Now, then you drain the gearbox. What happens when you drain the gearbox? You open the drain hole, the oil comes down. Oil comes down, bringing the sediments down with it. But you see, as the oil flows out, the sediments are solid. It cannot come out. So it gets stuck there, it sunk or it jams all your pathways in the gearbox. So when you top in the new oil, okay, what happens is that because a lot of pathways are blocked, right, your transmission wear ends up being accelerated. It will kaput like within 1 week or 2 weeks after you change the oil. Yeah, so that is a dilemma when you buy a high mileage used automatic transmission car. But I would say that your F10, right, the ZF 8-speed gearbox is a very reliable, it's a very robust gearbox, and if let's say like you change it, I think 68,000 kilometers is a good mileage to change. All right, it's not too late to change, but if you really change and the thing gives you problem, right, it's not that expensive to swap in a used gearbox. All right, reset the clock with that, and continue to and after that make sure to change it regularly. Okay, or maybe look out for transmission specialists that will be able to rebuild the gearbox. The man says, bro, just change the trans oil every 40 to 50,000 kilometers. I think their lifetime means 100,000 miles or something, and the car also feels more responsive after every change. This is a story I always have to tell people, right? When I bought my E39, that car had complete, all the documents, all the manual, and all that service booklet, all complete. And the service booklet actually recommends that even with the E39 5-speed, the transmission oil is lifetime. All right, it's lifetime. But there is an additional card inserted by Auto Bavaria that recommends you to change the transmission fluid at 60,000 kilometer intervals. So BMW AG says lifetime. Auto Bavaria says 60,000 kilometers. So I would say that, especially in Malaysian driving conditions, you should change the transmission fluid regularly. Yeah. Manly says, hi Con, I'm looking at the X6 E71 2011, mileage around 80k, cost about 150k. Huh? 2011 X6 costs 150k. Are you kidding me? Let me check this for you. Oh wait, sorry, you say X6, right? X6, okay, X6 maybe. Somehow or other I was thinking X5. X6 2011. I'm seeing them as cheap as 97,000 ringgit, and the most expensive example is 126,000 ringgit. So to answer your, oh no, sorry, X6M, sorry, X6M. Oh, if X6M at 150k, then all right. X6M, yep, 150k, that's about the price. There is one here, there is one unit here asking for 120k, but is it really an X6M? No lah, that's not an X6M. No, that's something, it's something pretending to be an X6M. It's not. So yeah, well, 150k is the market rate, it's the going rate. So I guess that's if that's the going rate, then well, you see, that's the going rate, and you've been eyeing that car for some time already. So is it worth the buy? For you, it is, because your kukucha has been itching for this car for the longest time ever. This car is selling at market rate. So the only thing is, have that car checked. Go do your due diligence on the car, send it to a mechanic, check head to tail, see if there are any major repairs pending for that car, and if that car has nothing wrong, if it's within your means to afford it, then go for it. That's it. End of story. Nas, when X70 facelift to the latest Geely Boyue Pro? Well, last year they changed to CKD, right? 2019 the car was officially launched in Malaysia. So aku rasa tahun depan kot, 2022, I guess. Becky, another question, have you ever filed a claim against the town council for car damage? A branch fell in the car while driving on the road and damaged the car. Honestly, no. What branch? Branch fell in the car. How severe is the damage? Because I mean, if it's a severe damage, I hope you've bought special perils in your insurance, lah. Right? Farhan, hi Farhan. Where do you source parts for old Beamers? Anywhere. There are if you want to buy new, you can go Bavarian Auto, you can go Sunhuat, you can go Stuttgart Parts, Munich Auto. A lot of BMW parts stockists out there. A lot of source for used parts out there as well. So BMW parts are in abundance. Anywhere you can find. Dave Tang. Hi bro, since this pandemic, hardly drive my Mazda 2 and I changed my transmission all on October 2019 till date. Mileage just clocked 97k. Since it's roughly 1 year plus, should I change my gear oil? I think you can stretch it a bit, lah, not a problem. I think transmission oil you can change by mileage, it's fair. Mohammed Shawar Adam, do you think Proton will be able to launch new model this year despite they cannot manage to produce X50 as they should? Now difficult to predict, lah. Difficult to predict. Maybe not in the first half, but second half, who knows? Cheng Yi Seong, understand that Volvo Cars Malaysia has stopped printing those brochures in their showrooms and replaced with e-brochures. It would be great to miss the touch and smell of the printed brochures. Yeah, I agree with you. That's unfortunate, but I guess we want to reduce use of paper. Steven Chan asked what happened to my nose. I don't know, man. It's itching, so could be dust, I think. Manly, thanks, Con. Appreciate your advice. Nas, bye. Love you. Same to you, Nas. Take care, bro. Becky, windshield crack. Apparently, it's a decay branch from trees growing over the roads. Actually, windshield crack, to resolve it quickly, right? I think you can just claim your windscreen insurance. Toto, what's the worst car you have ever owned? Worst? Mm, worst? Well, they are only these are the cars that I've lived with. I had a Vira 1.6. I had an Iswara 1.5 auto 3-speed. Then it was the Waja for the longest years. Then, of course, the Persona, the E39, the S-Max. And, of course, if you were to rank among these six, I have to say it's a toss-up between the Iswara and the Persona, right? But the Persona, of course, now, to be fair to the Persona, it was a good, it's a good, it was a good workhorse while it was with us, but it's just that next to my company of cars, not the best. Worst, Manwai said, or worst car you've ever experienced, Suzuki Alto. That car was, it was just so poorly built, and it totally lacked refinement. Absolutely tak boleh pakai, man, that car. And you know the sad thing is, Suzuki, right, when you drive like the SX4, you drive the Swift, or even you drive like the Ertiga, you feel that the cars are built to a high degree of mechanical refinement. But the Alto was like, it's like they just put everything there, and there was zero effort to make anything, properly good in their car. I remember that it was a comparison test. I went from the Suzuki Alto to the Pro Duo Viva, and the Viva felt like an upgrade. What's your favorite all-wheel drive SUV? The XC60 T5 is one, all right, and I felt that the XC60 T, even though people will say go for the T8, right, but the T5 has a very nice mechanical feel in the way it drives. That's one. The other favorite all-wheel drive SUV, I would say the Santa Fe, the Hyundai Santa Fe diesel. I always say that the Santa Fe is where Hyundai always bring out their A game. So over the years, I have never tested a Santa Fe that disappointed. So it will be this one. All right. S-Max or E39? Which one more shocked to drive? S-Max is faster. S-Max is faster, but I still enjoy driving the E39 more. If let's say if I'm going out on my own, I'll definitely take the E39. The S-Max is when I have to bring at least one of my kids along, then I'll bring the S-Max. But that being said, S-Max is I think the best driving MPV that I could have asked for. Vishal Productions asks, your dream car other than M5? 03 Subaru Legacy. Toto asks, I test drove the Alto before, I understand. Nicholas Ng asks, second-hand car or new car? For me, second-hand. But the thing about buying second-hand is there is more homework to do. You have to do your homework. You have to do, each car is different. Buying a new car is easy. Buying a new car, you just go to the showroom, you pick your spec, you pick your color, wait. They make your car for you, or they pull the car up according to what you want. But buying a new car, a used car, you have to go in and see personally each car, send the car to an inspection center, workshop, and evaluate car to car basis. So more work involved in buying a second-hand car, more time consuming, but I think ultimately also more rewarding. And definitely, if you are a first-time car buyer, you should buy used. If if you are a fresh grad, you should buy used. Why? Because when you buy new, you are at the start of the depreciation curve, and that means that when you buy new, you have to absorb a large chunk of the depreciation. So buy used, at least most also buy 1-2 year used. At least someone else took the brunt of depreciation for you. And let's say like 3 or 4 years down the road, when you let that car, if you have to let that car go, or if you want to let that car go, you don't lose so much. You worry less about having to top up to cover for your bank loan. Many thanks, Con and Demand, for the advice. Favorite recent supercar design? I have to say mine is the Aston Martin DBS Superleggera. Favorite recent supercar design? Ferrari Omologata. And the what's the other? Why X5 40 depreciate so fast? It's a PHEV. Okay, guys. So all right, guys. So that's it for tonight. There'll be more live feeds to come. Thank you all so much for joining me for the last how long have I been online? Oh my God, 1 hour and 40 minutes. Okay, guys. Thank you so much for your time, and stay tuned. There'll be more live videos, and yeah. So everybody, all of you guys out there, please stay safe, and I'll see you guys again soon. Hopefully, when MCO all this is over, we can go out for a drive and meet each other in person. Okay? Until my next video, take care.